Welcome to Legends Behind the Code, where we dive deep into the extraordinary stories of the people who have shaped the modern world with nothing but ambition, intellect, and vision. Today, we explore the fascinating life of a man whose name is synonymous with personal computing, wealth, and giving back. The man who co founded Microsoft, transformed technology, and then went on to change lives through his philanthropy, Bill Gates. Stay with us as we trace his journey from a curious boy in Seattle to one of the richest humans in history, and finally to one of the world's most influential philanthropists. Early life. William Henry Gates III was born on October 28, 1955 in Seattle, Washington. His father, William Gates Sr., was a prominent lawyer, his mother, Mary Maxwell Gates, an executive at a major bank. Though the Gates family was comfortably wealthy, they never let their children forget the lessons of the Great Depression. Bill's parents taught him that wealth was no excuse for laziness or arrogance. From an early age, Bill showed a sharp, restless intelligence. He loved reading encyclopedias and solving puzzles. But it was at age 13, when he enrolled at the prestigious Lakeside School, that Bill would encounter the machine that changed his life, a computer. Discovering computers, Lakeside School was one of the few schools in America in the late 1960s to have access to a computer terminal. Bill was instantly fascinated. He taught himself basic programming by poring over manuals and practicing late into the night. He even wrote his first game, a simple tic-tac-toe that you could play against the computer. Before long, he and his friend Paul Allen were hacking into the school's computer system, not maliciously, but to explore and understand how it worked. Their curiosity led them to a local company, Computer Center Corporation, where they were allowed to learn more advanced programming in exchange for helping debug software. By the time he graduated high school, Bill Gates had already logged thousands of hours of programming a foundation that would make him a pioneer in the computer revolution. Harvard and a big decision. In 1973, Gates enrolled at Harvard University. He studied mathematics and computer science, but more than that, he dreamed of creating software that would make computers accessible to everyone. One day in 1975, Paul Allen showed him an article about a revolutionary microcomputer called the Altair 8800. They knew this was their chance. Bill dropped out of Harvard and moved to Albuquerque with Allen. Together, they founded Microsoft. Building Microsoft? In its early days, Microsoft was just a small software vendor supplying basic interpreters for the Altair. But Gates had a vision, a computer on every desk, and Microsoft software in every machine. He worked tirelessly reviewing every line of code, packaging disks, answering customer calls. Then came the big break. In 1980, IBM approached Microsoft to create an operating system for its new personal computers. Gates didn't actually have one ready, but he knew where to get it. He licensed an existing OS, modified it, and called it MS-DOS. IBM agreed. What Gates insisted on, however, was keeping the rights to license MS-DOS to other manufacturers as well. This seemingly small decision turned out to be brilliant. As IBM clones flooded the market, MS-DOS became the standard operating system. Microsoft's dominance was unstoppable. The Windows Revolution. In the 1980s, Microsoft turned its attention to making operating systems more user-friendly. In 1990, they launched the first version of Windows, introducing graphical interfaces to replace text-based commands. By 1995, with the release of Windows 95, Microsoft had cemented its place as the king of the software world. Windows became the operating system for the masses, running on over 90% of all PCs. And with productivity tools like Word and Excel, Microsoft became not just a company, but a cornerstone of the digital age. Facing challenges. But with great power comes scrutiny. Microsoft's aggressive business practices led to accusations of monopolistic behavior. In 1998, the US government filed an antitrust case against Microsoft. At one point, the company was at risk of being split into smaller firms. Though Microsoft ultimately remained intact, the trial tarnished its image and marked a turning point in the perception of Bill Gates. The tech world was evolving, and newer, more dynamic players like Google and Apple began to rise. Philanthropy, a new chapter. By the early 2000s, Bill Gates was already one of the wealthiest people in history. But instead of holding onto his fortune, he decided to give it away. In 2000, he and his wife Melinda founded the Bill Melinda Gates Foundation, focusing on global health, education, and poverty. He drew inspiration from philanthropists like John D. Rockefeller and from his friend Warren Buffett, who also pledged much of his wealth to the foundation. Gates became a tireless advocate for public health funding vaccines, fighting polio, malaria, and HIV, AIDS in developing nations. He also invested heavily in improving education in America and tackling climate change through clean energy initiatives. A personal philosophy. Bill Gates has often said, "Money has no utility to me beyond a certain point. Its utility is entirely in building an organization and getting the resources out to the poorest in the world." He's made it clear that he plans to leave only a small fraction of his fortune to his children because, in his words, it's not a favor to kids to have huge sums of wealth. It distorts anything they might do, creating their own path. For Gates, giving back is not about charity, but about justice and dignity, treating every life as having equal value. From a young boy tinkering with computers to the titan of Microsoft to one of the greatest philanthropists the world has ever seen, Bill Gates has lived a life that defies convention. His journey reminds us that intelligence and ambition can change industries, but compassion and vision can change the world. As he himself once said, "Don't compare yourself with anyone in this world. If you do so, you are insulting yourself."